For what purpose does the gentleman from Louisiana seek recognition?
I have an amendment at the desk.
The clerk will designate the amendment.
Amendment number 76, printed in the Congressional Record, offered by Mr. Landry of Louisiana.
Pursuant to the order of the House of the day, the gentleman from Louisiana, Mr. Landry, and a member opposed will each control 5 minutes. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Louisiana.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My amendment is simple. It prevents the misuse of recess appointments while preserving the founder's intent by allowing the president to quickly make emergency recess appointments if the need arises. Now, I know this may surprise many members, but current law actually prohibits the salaries of recess appointees. There was a law passed in 1863 that stayed on the books until 1940 that would prohibit those who receive recess appointments from being paid until 1940, and then some exceptions were made, and those exceptions basically took the intent of the law out. And so these exceptions, these loopholes, are so broad that they make the prohibition against recess appointments useless, and the administration can always find a way to make these recess appointments. So I yield back and reserve the balance.
Gentleman from Louisiana reserves his time. Gentleman from Indiana.
I rise in opposition to the gentleman's amendment.
For 5 minutes.
Chairman, I rise in opposition to the gentleman's amendment. These are legal appointments made by the President of the United States. This president, the last president, the president before that, the president back to George Washington. It is the administration's priority to make these appointments. And while each of us or collectively disagree with some of the individuals put into particular positions, until we change the law, the House should not pick and choose the staff for the executive branch any more than they should be picking ours. If the gentleman wants to say in the President's hires and appointments, I suggest he work to change the Constitution. Article 2, Section 2 gives the Senate say over presidential appointments and gives the President power to make recess appointments. I urge my colleagues to vote no on the amendment and would reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman reserves his time. The gentleman from Louisiana.
I don't argue the legality of the President's recess appointments. However, what I do is I am simply doing what many Congresses have done prior, all the way since 1860, when they realized that this is a problem when presidents and administrations try to bypass the will of the people. I'm simply using the power of this House, which is the power of the purse, to make sure that when the President makes recess appointments, look, this isn't the 1800s anymore. Congress is not out for months and months at a time. If the President needs to make an appointment in an emergency, he certainly has the time, and he will be able to take that recess appointment and put it before the Senate. I'm simply saying that until that recess appointee is confirmed by the Senate, he or she shall not receive any pay. I reserve the rest of my time.
Gentleman reserves his time. Gentleman from Indiana.
I understand I have the right to close, Mr. Chairman.
That's correct. The gentleman is correct. Gentleman from Louisiana.
Yeah, I will simply close by saying, look, my friends across the aisle have spent most of the past month talking about closing loopholes. And so I hope they will join me in protecting the taxpayer in closing the loopholes in the law that currently exists, and that is to bring the law back to the intent of it, which is to prohibit recess appointees from receiving salaries until they are confirmed. And so I urge my colleagues to vote for this amendment. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back his time. The gentleman from Indiana.
Chairman, this is a constitutional issue. We have no business in it, and I would urge my colleagues to vote against the gentleman's amendment, and I would yield back my time.
Gentleman yields back all time. Having expired the questions on the amendment offered by the gentleman from Louisiana, those in favor signify so by saying aye. Those opposed, no. In the opinion of the chair, the noes have it. Gentleman from Louisiana.
For a recorded vote.
Pursuant to Clause 6 of Rule 18, further proceedings on the amendment offered by the gentleman from Louisiana will be postponed.